Hello? Do you ever wash one of your favorite jackets and then it just doesn't fit quite right? Not sure if you've noticed, but the world is a bit of a goddamn mess right now. So here's what to do about it. I first want to think about what are the things that we choose to be ignorant about. And I've realized that the list should include just about everything. That you should predetermine what it is that you are going to be ignorant about. Because as a species, we are additive. We like to add things on, and we don't like to subtract. And the problem with that is the world is going to convince you to care about everything. From climate change, to ocean acidification, to wildfires, to AI ethics, to Elon Musk, to Taylor Swift, to that new movie, to childcare shortages, to antibiotic resistance. There's just so much you can care about. And not only must you care, but in order to look like a person who has a heart, you have to have an opinion about all these things. I realized the futility of this approach when then President Biden withdrew troops from Afghanistan in 2021. And people had a lot of opinions about it. It went horribly, some said. It went about as good as it could, others said. And I realized I am not someone that has any geopolitical background. I am not even qualified to have an opinion. Did it go poorly? It seemed like it. Could it have gone better? Maybe, but what do I know? It was a complex situation, and people with decades of experience were working on it. So what does it matter if I have an opinion? And I guess that is, to me, is the core question, is what difference does it make whether or not I have an opinion about Afghanistan? It makes no difference whatsoever. So then the question becomes, what does make a difference? Start where you are. Arthur Ashe has this great quote, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Those who make a true difference in the world are not the people who have an opinion about everything. They are not the people that are running around with their hair on fire, tuned in and up to date on what is happening with the latest tragedy. They figure out what they care about, and then they devote real time and attention and energy to doing something about this one thing. They choose only one thing, or maybe two things at a maximum, and they tune out the rest of the noise, clamoring and vying for our attention. Okay, so a few examples from my own life. So, about 6 months ago, I met this man named Harlan. Harlan is 85 years old, and during the summer, he is a park ranger at Yellowstone, and during his free time, or his off time, he has been working for about 4 years to save this plot of land that's in the middle of his city from residential zoning. He's gotten the zoning changed, and they are now building a city park there. My friend Glenn, he fixes bikes for people. He fixes bikes for family, for friends, for neighbors, for whoever. He even fixes bikes for the homeless so they can have a means of transportation. He'll even go to the dump and he'll find bikes that have been discarded or abandoned. He'll fix them up and then he'll find somebody to give the bike to. Or take Flo. I met her last year. She is 101 years old. Yes, you heard that right, 101. And she has been volunteering at a food bank for over 30 years, multiple times per week. Isn't this kind of giving back, the devotion to one's community, over the course of decades, far better than having a well-formed, well-thought opinion about the myriad crises that face us today? The reason that any kind of meaningful work gets done is because a group of dedicated people, they care deeply, not widely. Caring deeply about one or two things is not just my opinion, it is how we're wired. For 98% of human history, we grew up in small bands of people, from 25 people to maybe 75 people, and we didn't even know the other people that were on the other side of the world, let alone the other side of the valley. The internet has made it possible to care about everything, and we are often convinced that we must. Otherwise, we are looked at as foolish, as uncaring, as callous people if we don't have an opinion about the latest tragedy that just happened. We are finite beings living in an infinite world. And the admonition that if you aren't angry, you aren't paying attention, I get that, and I resonate with that. I feel it. But I wonder how useful it is. I think anger can be something that it can be a motivating force. It can start us out, but I don't think it's something that sustains us over the long term. When I think of some of the greatest victories of the human spirit, I can't help but think of the Civil Rights Movement and Dr. King. And was Dr. King angry? Hell yes. I think, how could you not be angry about what was happening? Was he primarily driven by anger? I don't think so. When I listen to his speeches, when I read his words or his works, The thing that comes through to me is not anger, but love. I think primarily he was driven by love. Anger is a toxic fuel, which can get us started in the right direction, but when it comes to doing work over the course of decades, I don't think anger is sufficient to sustain us. I think if we want to do work that matters, that resonates deeply over the course of decades, we need to be driven by love. When I think of those people that I respect, Harlan and Glenn and Flo, these people are not driven by anger. They are driven by love. And the work that they do for their communities, it is an expression of that love. If we can all find something that we love and do it in our own backyards, I think the world will be a better place to live. Does it feel like enough? No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like nearly enough when you think about everything that's going on in the world right now. Is it all we can do, being finite? Having limited time, limited resources, having other commitments that we need to honor? Yeah, I think it is. What I like about this approach is it's empowering. While these acts are small, right? One meal served or one bike fixed and given to somebody else, it proves to ourselves that we are no longer acted upon by the world, that we in fact are actors and we act upon the world. We can make a real, tangible difference, albeit small. Yes, we have to admit that. But maybe that's all we can do. So I wish this video had a tidy conclusion, but the world is not a tidy place to live, so shit. I guess what I do with this is I say, okay, I need to find those one or two things that I can dedicate myself to over the course of 10, 20, 30 years. I think we overestimate what we can get done in a short amount of time, and we underestimate what we can get done in a long amount of time if we put in consistent effort day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And as far as all the other stuff goes, as far as global warming and political shit, I have to be ignorant about that stuff, because if I pay attention to every single crisis, every single scandal, every single whatever, it's going to zap my energy to actually do something today about things that matter to me the most. So once again, I wish this had a better conclusion. I hope that's helpful. That's at least how I'm thinking about it and how I'm wrestling with this question. Good day.